Right effort, I always like to think of right effort as like being a gardener. So when you're a gardener, what you want to do is bring worthy, helpful, positive things up out of the soil, and the things that are unhelpful, that are less positive for what you are trying to grow, you try to keep those tamped down. And the way we do that in right effort is we water the seeds that we want to grow. The Buddha says that there are 3 unworthy qualities, and those are greed, anger, and ignorance. He also says that there are the 3 opposites of those, some of which we've already spoken about: generosity, loving kindness. And the third we haven't spoken much about, but we will. That's wisdom. So if you're a gardener, you would be planting the seeds of generosity. Give it away. Loving kindness. When you can, love. When you can, be kind. When you can, be loving and kind. And the third seed that you would be planting is the seed of wisdom. And wisdom comes with a couple of reminders. One, sometimes being loving and being kind look different depending on who you're dealing with. People who are very, very difficult, you may not be able to run up and give them a hug. In the time of Corona, even people who are not being difficult, we can't just run up and hug people anymore. Wisdom tells us these things. Wisdom gives us a chance to decide how we're going to be loving, how we're going to be kind, because sometimes it's not obvious. So we use wisdom to decide those things. And we water those seeds as a gardener. The seeds of loving kindness, the seeds of wisdom, and the seeds of generosity. Right effort has hindrances. The 5 hindrances are sensual desires, things like sex, food, entertainment. These are the things that keep us from making positive efforts or positive strides or tending our garden, so to speak. If we are spending time eating too much or watching too many videos, we are not going to be out in our garden planting the seeds and weeding out the things that we don't want. We're going to be doing this particular hindrance, this sensual hindrance. Ill will, anger comes under ill will. When we think of there are people that we just don't like and we don't let them off the hook. Sometimes those people include ourselves. We don't let ourselves off the hook. That's a hindrance towards right effort. That's a hindrance towards doing the things that we need to do to make a beautiful garden. There's a word in Buddhism, it's called torpor, which I have never liked this word. The first time I heard my teacher say it, it just made me think of torpedoes, which is actually kind of a good way of looking at it because it does kind of stop your progress. But torpor is sleepiness or laziness, not wanting to get up and do the things we need to do to keep our garden in order. Worry. When you're a gardener, you do want to think about your plants, but the truth is plants are going to come up when plants come up. They're not going to come up faster because you worry about them. They will come up faster if you work with them, but worry by itself, that's a waste of time and a waste of effort. And you can get stuck there. You can get stuck worried about things. Anxiety can get you stuck in a place that you don't want to be. Where you want to be is doing the effort. And then there's skepticism, not believing that this stuff works. And that's fine. The Buddha says you don't have to believe it, try it out. But if you just don't believe it and you don't try it, then of course it's not going to work. Try it out. Give it a shot. I want to get back to worry for a minute. I want, or even all of the 5 hindrances. I want you to think about it this way. I don't want you to worry so much about not worrying that you're worrying about worrying about worrying about worrying, which can happen. Right effort, as with all of the Eightfold Path, should have some joy involved in it. There should be something coming up for you where you feel good about yourself. You know, I'm less angry today than I was yesterday. If that's as good as it gets, that's as good as it gets. And truthfully, if that's where you are, that's terrific. Being less angry moment to moment to moment to moment is the point. That is how the gardener works. Watering the seeds of the things that we want to grow. Pulling up the weeds of anger, pulling up the weeds of ignorance, pulling up the weeds of hatred, or, pulling up the weeds of greed, pulling up these weeds and allowing these other things space to flourish. That's what we want. That's where we want to be. Right effort. Be loving, be kind. Be generous. Work on your wisdom. Be joyful. Be joyful. The Eightfold Path is about joy. Be joyful. Eventually, when you're practicing this all the time on the gut level without thinking about it, the Eightfold Path is the path to happiness. It's the path that brings you to where you want to be. Be joyful. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.